This is It Has Pockets,
a podcast about celebrating our everyday and sharing the things we're all holding. I'm Laura.
And I'm Abby. And today we are talking about wintering.
And I don't know what this means, so please.
This is the thing that I have been hyper-fixated on all of 2023. It was the undercurrent of just about everything I did last year.
So I've heard the word wintering, I don't know, maybe 2 times over the course of my entire life. Tell me, what is wintering?
Wintering is the time in your life when you have to take a break, you have to rest, slow down, and make your life smaller. This concept came into my life through a book called Wintering, The Power of Rest and Retreat in Difficult Times by Catherine May. And it was one of those books where you open it up and you start reading the first chapter and you feel like someone has been in your brain waiting to tell you everything you needed to know about what's going on with you. That was this book for me. It was just exactly where I was and didn't have language for and words for.
Okay, what does that mean?
So one of the quotes in the book says, "However it arrives, wintering is usually involuntary, lonely, and deeply painful."
Oh,
so
okay. That was a twist I wasn't really expecting, honestly.
Wintering is
sad?
It's not always sad. She does a great job in the book of talking about nature and how the world and nature that's all around us, which we are a part of whether or not we know it, is functioning on this circular rhythm, right? These rhythms. We have winter where the world kind of slows down. We get colder. Animals go and they hibernate. Trees lose their things. They become smaller. The leaves are not there anymore, right? We are having this time of closeness and
like bare?
Yes.
Like it feels almost like bare bones, kind
Right.
of like stripping.
Yes, exactly. And no matter
stripping
where
down,
you are,
not stripping
Right.
exotic dancing.
we that's not my wintering, but it might be someone else's wintering. Winter how you want to winter. So we see that is one of the seasons, right? And that is right before we have spring and summer, where we have this space in nature where there's growth, newness, life, and moving out, right?
Okay.
Because we are so productive in our modern world and societies, we don't create these seasons in our own lives. There is an understanding that you're basically going to be able to work just as hard and be just as productive in winter as you do in spring and summer.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's really hurtful. That is not something the world shows us, nature shows us, and it's not what our bodies tell us. So there's a lot of information in the book. I highly recommend it. It's a very gentle read. It gave me words and visuals for a time in my life that was not just last winter, but actually the entire year. So the idea is a person going through growth in their life is going to have times when you are expansive, giving, making things, and creative. And then there are times when you need rest. And that is a normal part of being a human.
That's really interesting. I mean, my mind immediately went to how social media plays a role in this.
Right. And we take the highest achievement moments of our life, those times when we are on top of things, productive, awake, and we say, oh, because I reached that, that should be my normal.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I'm following. Instead of saying, wow, that was unusual, that was
Yes.
a huge win, and I should celebrate that, you're like, this is my new bar.
And if I'm not reaching that, I'm failing. There's other parts of this, like being a woman through wintering. I'm also learning about my cycles of my body. There are times in the month where I am going to be more awake and more excited and more open to ideas and more creative. And then there's other times in my life where my body says, get smaller, take care of yourself, look inward. That is something that we see out in nature, but we also just see in rhythms of our life.
How did you get to a place where you were able to listen to your body?
A lot of reading.
Because I'm like, because I'm hearing this and I'm going, wow, that's really incredible. In my mind, I'm translating that to, is this applicable to my everyday? And I'm going, wow, I don't know that I actually have that connection with my body enough, other than when I experience burnout or when I experience sadness, I'm like, I'm done.
Right.
I'm done.
And
I'm
by the
out.
time you get to burnout, that's like alarm bells. That is your body saying, you have pushed too
Right.
hard. I'm going to recommend a couple of different books.
I'm ready.
I definitely recommend Burnout, which is The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle by Emily and Amelia Nagoski. Really good information about the physical ramifications of stress in your body. Great place to start. And then I would also say I love the book by Hilary McBride called The Wisdom of Your Body, and it's all about embodiment. It is a very gentle start to understanding what the idea of embodiment is. At the end of the day,
okay. I like that. Where you are, I'm not there.
Right.
I just and honestly, that's just me not having the same intuitiveness with my body.
Yeah, I would
not me
definitely
taking
say-
notes right now here
Yes.
on the podcast, going
and we'll have these in the show notes. So those are some of the books that I was really living in.
Okay.
Because I would say that until having this language, I would have just called what I went through last year a very depressive space. I didn't have this big crisis that happened to me, but there was a lot of things that were looking different than I thought they were going to look.
Yeah.
A lot of grief.
feel that.
And I hardcore for 2 years. Really just threw myself into figuring out who I am, what I love, who I want to be around. So I would look back and say that those were very like spring, summer years. They were just years of like a lot of growth.
Okay, now I'm
Right?
seeing the language come together.
A lot of
Yes.
risk.
Okay.
I took like a lot of risks. I tried a lot of new things.
Whoa. Okay.
Right? Just
Mhm.
like you would. Spring, summer. Like things are just growing everywhere. You look around.
Creativity.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? It was like all of this was happening. And I thought, I'm like, cool, this is the new Abby. This is who she's going to be for the rest of her life. And then I cannot contain all of that excitement and that hype. And so I went through a time where my body slowed down. I couldn't mentally and emotionally stay at that pace. In the past, I would have given myself a lot of shame. I would have been like, what's wrong with you? Why can't you get it together? Why are you sad? And instead of having that, I had this language that told me, oh, my body, my mind, everything is wintering.
What I'm hearing a lot of that validation that's normal. It's
Yeah.
normal to have slow seasons and growth seasons.
Exactly.
And things like that.
In the past, I would fight them. I would fight so hard. I'd be like, I just need to get up every morning. I need to keep pushing. I need to still hold on to those same goals. But I felt it coming. I was able to identify it, and I was able to say, I need to figure out a way to pull things in and just go through this time. It's going to be cold. It's going to be a little bit sad and hard to get things done, but we're going to slow down and we're going to do that. So again, thanks to Wintering by Catherine May, that book just gave me so much language.
It's one of those things where you saying it is not shocking.
Right.
You're not going, whoa, I've never thought about our bodies kind of operating in a seasonal flow in that way. But you're right, having language to do that is good.
I think it's hard because our modern society and the world is not set up to give people permission for this.
You
And
think?
especially not to give you permission for this without villainizing this stage in your life.
Yeah, I really resonate with that.
Yeah. I think this permission that we need to be in the season that we are in comes first from acknowledging it and learning how to feel it.
Allowing myself to feel it. What does that mean?
It meant consistently looking at things that usually bring me joy, and I just had no interest in doing them, and they felt really hard.
If I were to put myself in those kind of definitions, I feel like I would be telling myself, you are depressed. Get up and move. You are doing this.
So I would also say that I did have depression through this.
Of course.
That's not taking away the validation of the depression. I'm not trying to give you a word instead of depression. What I'm trying to tell you is that if you continue to push through times in your life when your body and relationships are telling you to slow down and care for yourself, if you continue to push through that, that's where this really deep, chaotic kind of depression can take hold.
Okay.
Again, not a doctor. This
Correct.
is just my story. I also had professional people watching me and helping me. I was not doing this alone. I had my therapist, my people that I have around me. I slow down so much. I unsubscribed from so many social media things. Just didn't have the ability to engage in the world in a way I had before. I made my work a lot smaller and practical things like at home. I gave myself permission that this is not a time to be creative and try like a new dish.
Right.
It was all about familiar, cozy, caring for myself. And I said no to a lot of friendships. I just couldn't. It was so hard. But I felt so much ability to say no because I had this word in my mind where I knew I was going through a stage. That was what last year was for me. That was the wintering that it was. And the reason I really wanted to bring that to the podcast is because so many, particularly women, go through these stages. They don't have language. Yeah. They feel so much shame about it. And we don't have a social place to talk about what is very much a normal part of a human journey.
Yeah, I'm thinking about January 1st, new year, new you, what this looks like. Just don't know that I've seen many messages out there in my corner of social media that tells me, sit back, relax.
I think that a lot of the failure we have towards keeping New Year's resolutions has to do with when we make them. So January is literally in the middle of winter. That is not the time when we're supposed to be starting new things, throwing ourselves into these high intensity ideas. I think those goals would probably serve you so much better come April, come March, when you're coming out of winter.
Thinking now, I also battle quite a bit of anger at the fact that in January, I'm having to research summer camps. I feel like we live in a world that there is no time.
There's this intense grind, right? Do you feel it? It's like the next thing is coming at you so fast.
Yeah, there was a sort of dismantling of hustle culture to a certain extent in that we all have a name for it now. We have all these sort of trigger words and things like that, but still very prevalent.
Right. I don't think we gave ourselves another option. We are feeling the effects of it, right? And we're seeing how it's not serving us. We also don't have a lot of honor for transitions. And when you're having really young children, if you're a mother that has had really young children, the amount of transitions that you are enduring between going from pregnancy to a newborn. But how harmful is it to be told as a woman, oh, you should be getting back to your pre-baby body. You should be getting back to some hypothetical perfect moment where you were at your top. That is not reality. You're going to find new normals. You're going to find new high moments, but they're going to be forward from you. They're not going to be going back into something you were at. So first, you just have to figure out what is important to you.
There's still work happening.
Yes.
It's not just
absolutely
wrap up in a comforter and crash.
It's not avoidance.
Okay.
That's what's different about it than depression to me or burnout.
Okay.
Because it's not avoidance. It's an actual task to weather. I needed to winter. I needed to prepare a warm, safe space.
So a lot of it is translating to me into allowing yourself intentional rest with the idea of coming back into inspiration.
Absolutely. And that just takes a ton of trust.
And allowing that creativity to flow.
Yes. Laura, it was so scary to not fight it. To not be like, okay, I wintered for a little while. Now I got to get myself together and I got to have a new next thing. Yeah. I have to be able to attack the thing. The amount of inner trust and I would say even faith that it takes that there will be a spring. You will not be here forever. Trusting the process is the scariest part of this because it's not just sitting back and letting it happen.
Interesting.
You're involved in it. It's work, right? But you can continue to be really safe there.
I like that. Okay, so are you still wintering?
I think I am coming out of it just like a real winter. You know, you see like a couple of robins, you see a couple of snowdrops. And again, I will say I was getting real help while it was happening, and I did start
This is not something you did on your own.
No.
This is something you saw a doctor for.
There were moments when I really had to look at my professionals and say, hey, these are the thoughts going through my head. I need some help to maybe help with these thoughts. Yeah. So just know.
We are such big fans of talking to your doctor.
Yeah, if you're feeling bad, things are not going well, don't be like, oh, I'm just wintering, and then not.
No. Oh my gosh, no.
Not get help.
Okay, you're starting the process of coming out of it.
I feel like I'm coming out of it.
I will say, I can see a lot of that. Being able to take on more.
Right.
Just in your day-to-day.
Just like a hope.
And that's where a lot of clarity in relationships is great, because there were times where you would send a text saying, I'm just not able today to talk because I'm a phone girly. I love to talk on the phone. So there were days when you're just like, hey, straight up, I can't do it today. I can't interact with people. I've got to do this.
Yeah. But it wasn't a crisis moment. There were these moments where
it
Laura would be
wasn't
like,
crisis.
Are you okay? Do I need to help you? I'm like, I'm not in a crisis. I just only have enough energy to go from bed to caring for my family to read my little cozy fantasy.
But that clarity is really appreciated. Yeah. And you can't expect other people to read your mind. And I really appreciate that you were open about those kind of things. And I appreciate that you're being open about it now. How long would you say that this wintering process was for you?
Okay, there's two things. One is I do think our bodies actually go through wintering every year. Again, there is scientific reason to believe that we all gain a little weight over winter. Not just because you're eating, but your body actually exists in a time and place and in a world where we prepare for different seasons in our life. Okay, so we all go through some sort of wintering. This for me was very much like an emotional wintering. It was very much a psychological wintering. And I would say that I was within that like a good 8 months.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time. And I had this image of myself starting to stand on the porch. Imagine this cabin in the wood that I have, right? That I just wintered in. And I'm standing on the porch and I'm looking out and I can see everything is muddy and I don't know what's going to grow yet, but I can smell it in the air, right? Like
what
I can
are
smell.
Your dreams like? If this is how you just picture your everyday, this is how you're just like, this is how I communicate a thought.
Oh, my dreams are like
my
insane.
Gosh, this is so like. I mean, it's beautiful. It's visual. It's it's just so.
I really do feel like right now I'm looking out and I can see that there is like a spring coming. I can see some of the things that are going to be happening. I'm really starting to feel strong enough to take on these new creative endeavors and these things that I see coming on the horizon. Even the podcast is one of those for me, right? Something new, something different that I haven't done before.
This project happening last summer in the midst of deep in it.
And
that's pretty huge that you took
Laura,
it on.
Like, there really were moments where I was like, can I commit? Because I don't know where I'm going to be. If I'm where I was in the summer when we started talking about this podcast, I did not think that I could actually be here.
Yeah.
I was fighting so hard to make it look on the outside like I had it together.
Yeah.
Okay? When you are fighting to mask your own emotions and things going on inside of you, that is when things get really hard in relationships.
Yeah.
So I think internally we know a lot of this stuff, right? Internally, somewhere deep, we're like, I'm going to give myself a break tonight. I'm going to go to bed earlier. Or I'm going to, we're going to order pizza tonight. Like, we kind of internally have that, but we have all this language about, well, I'm just going through a bad moment. And we don't let other people know it's happening. And so we create this facade that everything is okay.
Yeah.
And the amount of energy it takes when you're wintering to make it look like you're in spring or summer.
Yes, that's a lot. It's a whole lot.
Much, right? And that was half of the battle, and half the trust was allowing that if I showed up in a smaller, quieter, slower way, that the people around me that love me would stick with me through it. And
I love that.
They did, right?
I really, really love that.
Yeah. And we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So more of that in 2024, right? Like more of that vulnerability and just honoring the spaces that we're in.
And some more language for people. I'm sure that we have some people who are sitting at our table with us right now who would be like, yeah, me too.
Right.
Feel that.
I was starting to be talk about this online, and I got so much response from women who were like, I never had language for this. I felt it. Yeah. I know something's going on, but I didn't have language. And again, I'm not the expert, but it's this language that is just so, so kind and so helpful when you're going through hard times. So in a way, Laura, I think I hyperfixated on wintering last year.
Okay.
I think I made that my project.
Honestly, I can see it. Yeah.
And what I love about that is now I feel like it's a project I've done. So I feel like when it comes back around at some point, I'll know what I'm doing. I'll be able to pick up those tools faster. I'll be able to communicate better. And maybe it won't be quite so long of a winter. It'll be great.
As someone who's dealt with anxiety and depression, I just love the idea of having language behind it, because when I start getting into those funks, my immediate thought is like, oh no, here we go. Let's work on this spiral. And I honestly had never really thought about the idea that our bodies are naturally going through these states and maybe not to panic.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the authenticity of naming what it is in language. Yeah, wintering.
Yay.
So that's wintering. Okay.
That's wintering. That's my hyperfixation.
You taught me something. Thank you.
I cannot wait in future episodes to hear about one of your hyperfixations.
Oh, yeah.
One of your things that you...
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
God. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness.
Because this was a little bit of an episode
Oh, my gosh.
about something that matters to me.
Go into it,
and
but I'm not.
We're talking about things that we carry. This is a thing that's been in my pocket. And I love that we've created safe spaces for me to bring this out and show you, even if it's not something that was in your pocket.
Right.
That interaction is great.
For sure.
And that's what this podcast is about. Laura?
Yeah.
What's in your pocket?
My big thing is that I'm a Capricorn through and through. And that being said, I tend to, when I say tend to, I mean rule my life with arbitrary goals that I set for myself, and then feel immensely bad if I don't reach it, because I love setting goals and I love achieving goals. I made some content over the weekend, and I know not everyone can just like relate to content creation and things like that, but I made some content and it was lost, and I was very, very upset because that was my goal and I had everything prepped. And it is just this sort of emphasis on big and little goals that I set for myself, and reminding myself that those do not measure my value.
Right.
And that's for myself, because obviously you do not care about my day-to-day goals of what I'm trying to achieve today. I mean, like, you might, but to like a low, like, you're not caring. You're like, oh my gosh, why didn't you get that done? No one's doing that.
Yeah, that's
and
an
yet,
internal
in my mind, I'm going,
critic.
yeah. I really, really need to get that done today. I have to remind myself that it's okay, and quite literally no one but myself put that on me.
This podcast, I've watched it push you quite a bit, because every time we've set a time goal or we've set a moment like, hey, we're doing this today, it has not gone as planned.
It's been hard, yeah.
This has really asked a lot of flexibility of us. Again, it's a new thing. This is a new transition.
But even smaller things, like I have 6 loaves of bread on the counter right now that I need to make a bunch of Uncrustables for the next couple weeks, and I'm like, I was supposed to do that 2 days ago and I haven't done it. And that is just a part of my everyday. Is I love setting goals and setting deadlines, and to struggle with those is something I constantly have to remind myself that does not actually represent me or my value.
Like, how, as your friend, how can I like support you in that? Do you really look for just someone to celebrate with?
No. It's just in my head. It's just,
Yeah.
I feel like it's just me, and it's just like almost a personality trait that I love it. I mean, Kyle will give me just a random timeline. Oh, maybe we'll think about that in like a year, and watch me show up day of a year going, hello, it has been a year. I'm ready to do this. I've thought about all the process going into it. Let's go. Yeah, that's my big one.
Love that. I'm going to share my big one, and then we can do little. I announced that I am in the process of trying to acquire a local store. It's coming out of wintering and not knowing what was going to be ahead and be my spring. This thing came out of nowhere. It's connected to so many things that I love and that I've wanted to do, but it's very unexpected. So there's been a lot of behind the scenes work to try to get to this place, but it is going to change my life in such a huge way. And it's an all-consuming thing to think about, to try to figure out what the next steps are. I think because I did this wintering, I'm much more aware of my capacity. I'm really aware of where I am when I'm at my least, I wouldn't say my worst, but my smallest. And I want to be able to do this even when I'm in that space. I know there's going to be days where I'm like on the top of the world and rainbows and everything's going to be fantastic, but I need to be able to run this store even when I'm wintering. So that's the big thing. Where's your small thing?
So my little thing is where I just had a moment a couple weeks ago and I was like, my body needs movement. I just need to move. I am not a fitness girly. I'm not, but I did just order those booty sculpting leggings.
Hello.
Okay, I know. I'll try them on after this for you.
Cannot wait.
Get ready. So I had a couple coffee dates lined up in the morning and I was just like, can we just get coffee and walk? Can we just get coffee and walk around? So we got tea at a place that was on the trails. It was just really wonderful to walk and talk. There were a couple moments. If you see me looking a hot mess on the trail, walking and sobbing with somebody, just look the other way. It's just been wonderful to grab coffee and walk.
And that's so embodied. And, good job, Laura.
Yeah. And it is.
It's moving, like you're in a relationship with someone that you feel safe. You're talking about things.
I was just like, I don't need to huff and puff, but man, I just don't want to sit.
Yeah.
Let's just go walk. And so that has been refreshing. But now I need to find some more walkable spots nearby coffee shops. And
you got to get that in now because before it gets hot.
By Easter, it's already roasting here. So.
That's right.
Okay, tell me your little thing.
My little thing is that I love making Spotify playlists, soundtracks, mixtapes. And I want one that is all about like sisterhood and inner child and the friendship that women have together. So I'm actually, like friendship and sisterhood just like women being together, right?
When you listen to this, is this like a background of a party? Is this a background of you just thinking about a love you friend?
When I'm like, women are amazing and women together are like another level of amazing.
It feels like you're still coming down from the retreat vibes.
Yes,
that you're like, I need that. Okay,
it's for those women.
I was like, wow, this feels really like.
But I feel like I want to open it up to the people at the table. So send me your recommendations. I want to know, what are the songs that you listen to that remind you of your friend, of being together, of having this kind of vulnerable, safe space that you're having conversations and being with each other. I want to hear those songs.
That's really nice.
I'm so excited. And then we'll share it. I'll share the playlist when I get it together. So you can find us at It Has Pockets Pod on Instagram. That's the best way to connect with us, to hear what's going on with us. And we really want to hear from you. What has this topic kind of brought up for you? And share with us what's in your pockets.
Okay, I think that wraps it up.
Yeah. That's wintering.
Go easy on yourself, everybody. Go easy. Let yourself rest.
Bye, guys.
Bye.